Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the Public Works, Finance, and Safety Committee meeting of Monday, November 16, 2020. Roll call, please, Kristen.
Okay, Wide, absent. Billhauer,
Here.
Roby,
Here.
Rademski, absent. Manti, thought I saw Beth on earlier.
She's struggling with her teams.
Okay, absent. Lalum, absent. Pauline,
Here.
Hoyer,
Here.
Bueller,
Here.
Albertson.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a quorum. First item on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda. I'm going to need you folks out there in internet land to help out here with the motions and seconds, but
I'll make the motion for the
motion by
consent.
Bill Hauer,
Second.
second by
Bueller.
Bueller. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye, and those opposed signify by saying nay. Roll call vote, please, Kristen.
Okay, Billhauer,
Aye.
Roby,
Aye.
Pauline,
Aye.
Hoyer,
Aye.
Bueller,
Aye.
Albertson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Hey, you guys, I'm on now.
Okay, we have Beth Manti. For the
Yeah, my computer
record, Beth
is
Manti has
having-
arrived.
Yeah, my computer is rebooting and restarting, so I'm on my iPad.
Okay. The next item is the public input. This is the time reserved for anyone who would like to make a public comment to step forward and do so. Please state your name into the microphone and say permission to speak if you'd like to say something. Is there anyone here who would like to speak? Hearing none, we'll go on. Item 5 is approval of the agenda.
So moved, and just so everybody out there knows that I brought pretzels tonight for the, if anybody wants to show up yet in the council chambers.
Have to be
Second.
here. Is that a second from Bueller?
Yes.
All right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye, and those opposed signify by saying nay. Roll call vote, please.
Billhauer,
Aye.
Roby, Roby,
Aye. I'm having mouse troubles.
It's a bad day for electronics, I think.
Manti,
Aye.
Pauline,
Aye.
Hoyer,
Aye.
Bueller,
Aye.
Albertson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 6A on the regular agenda is approval to waive irregularities of the bids from Dunick, Inc. and approve a bid award for the petroleum products and street maintenance materials for 2021, project number 2031, to various contractors and suppliers at the designated pricing as outlined in the bid tabulations and summary of recommended award.
So moved.
I have a motion by Vilhauer,
Second by Holeen.
second by Holeen. Any discussion? Oh, I'll let Heath tell us about this, please.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor. I'll share my screen here for the Public Works Committee members and pull up the data here, the information regarding the recent bids that we received. So early in November here, we opened bids. This is our annual bid for petroleum products and miscellaneous materials for street operations and other citywide functions. Some of the major components of this bid award include the city's fueling contract for the year is established through this bid, so that's important to note. And then there's also a bunch of other miscellaneous material type of bids included in this bid package as well. Some of those other materials include crushed gravel, concrete, pea gravel,
Keith,
asphalt. Yes, go ahead.
sorry to interrupt. I just got a note from a media member saying that the meeting is not running. Is our YouTube video up and going?
Facebook is. YouTube's having issues.
Okay.
Should we wait?
Is it going to be resolved or?
He's working on it.
Tyler was filling his pockets with pretzels, so I'm not sure what's. Looks like he's working on it.
We would have a record of the meeting, but we can upload it to YouTube later, but what do you think, Matt? Should we pause?
Well, can it be accessed live on Facebook at the moment?
Yes, Tyler's saying.
Okay, I'll let them know that.
Okay, and it'll be on Facebook later, so, or on YouTube, the regular place. But our live streaming. Okay. Yeah, some of the media is using Facebook already, so, and that's fine. So why don't you go ahead and continue, Heath?
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for that information, Matt. So the bids here, I just wanted to hit a few highlights. One, as indicated in the title of this action, there was an anomaly on the bids received from Dunick Incorporated. They did not submit with their bids that required $200 bid security that was requested. Given the minor amount of bid security and the nature of these bids, in consultation with the city attorney, we were comfortable in waiving that abnormality with their bid and still proceeding with the proposed awards to that company as indicated on the summary sheet. So that was one thing I wanted to point out. The next thing I wanted to point out was our hot mix asphalt. This is the material that the street Division of Public Works utilizes throughout the summer months for patching and pothole repair and things of that nature. It's kind of on an as-needed basis where they go and pick up the material from the supplier. We did have a competitive bid this year from Bose Construction out of Brookings, and they actually had a lower price per ton than what we're proposing to accept under Dunick. The reason for our proposed staff's recommendation to still go with Dunick is we crunched some numbers on our cost to drive to Brookings to the Bose plant, staff time, trucking, and on a per ton basis, it put this $60 up over the $75 that Dunick has bid. So we felt it still made sense monetarily to go with the Dunick bid on that material. So that was another anomaly that I wanted to point out and describe here. Other than that, the pricing discount we get on fuel from Sioux Valley Co-op, who's been the primary bidder on our fuel source over the last several years. They've given the exact same reduction at the pump amount per gallon. That's how they propose their bid, as a reduced price off of the advertised price at the pump. And it is a 6 cents per gallon reduction for each and every fuel type that we requested. Sioux Valley's usually our sole bidder on that bid package, mainly because they're one of the few that can provide most every one of these types of fuel that we require. And then also to note, Street Superintendent Rob Bain is online with us, and I would defer to Rob if we have any other specific questions. But staff, between him and Justin, they also compiled the bids in this other summary spreadsheet. It showed a change in the price from last year to this year. We saw some prices reduced, some increased, which is typical from year to year. And we'd be glad to help answer any questions that the committee might have.
Yeah, the prices some of them are all over the place. Got some really lower prices this year, and then some higher ones too on different things, so that's interesting. Are there any questions, Council? Councilman Vilhar?
regards to the gasoline, we use E30, because we get it from Sioux Valley Co-op, we use E30 in whatever city vehicles we can, correct?
Yes, that is correct. I know the mayor's helped support that through obviously wanting to support local businesses. And I know in the Public Works divisions, we've passed that message along to them and have been using that, the past close to a year now, I suppose it's been, since we started that initiative to be intentional about using E30.
Okay. And also, I guess a question for Matt, maybe you've already answered it, Heath, but relative to the bid that we're rejecting from the Brookings, even, I mean, we've got a rationale for rejecting it. Is that, can we do that, Matt? I mean, is that okay that we're rejecting that bid even though it's the lowest for that particular item?
Yeah, so the law, basically states that if you're not going to take the lowest responsible bid, that you have to put on the record some pretty solid rationale for the purpose of not accepting that amount. And so I think what Heath has described regarding the distance and the time and that sort of thing would be, in my opinion, sufficient. But yes, it does allow for the acceptance of that higher bid as long as the rationale is sound.
Okay. Thanks, Matt.
Yep.
To that question, Mayor, if I could, we are ecstatic that another competitor has given us a price on the hot mix asphalt. That's great news for us. Unfortunately, in this scenario, it just didn't pencil out. And Rob, correct me if I'm wrong, but that number that you estimated did bring that $60 per ton up to around $78 or $80 per ton, if I remember right. Is that correct, Rob?
Yep, that's correct, Heath. With our cost of going to Brookings and stuff, it would bring it, we feel it'll be a little bit more than the $75.25 per ton due to loss of time and stuff too, and then fuel to go down there.
Thanks, Rob.
All right, any other questions or comments? Don't see any, so I'll look for action. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and those opposed signify by saying nay. Roll call vote, please, Kristen.
Billhauer,
Aye.
Roby,
Aye.
Manti,
Aye.
Colleen,
Aye.
Hoyer.
Aye.
Bueller,
Aye.
Albertson,
Aye.
motion carries.
Thank you. Item B is authorization for the mayor to sign a letter of recommendation to the Federal Department of Transportation for approval of the SkyWest Airlines proposal for Watertown's essential air service contract in the amount of $4,341,098 per year for a 3-year contract.
So moved by Holding.
And a motion by Holleen,
I'll second that.
Second by Beth Manti.
second by Manti. And I
Yes.
will ask Heath to tell us about this, please.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This comes on the heels of notice from the United States DOT through the Federal Aviation Administration that they'd kind of slid up the timeline on putting out proposals for essential air service providers. And Todd Syrie, the airport manager, had received that information here a while back, and we then followed through with the typical proposal process to procure a new or continued essential air service provider for the city of Watertown. With that process, it brought 3 proposals, one from SkyWest Airlines, one from Boutique, and one from Key Lime Air. And we went through a review of those proposals, not only amongst staff, but with some of our consultants. And I could refer to Todd Syrie, the airport manager, to make any additional comments on that. But we also have some guests with us tonight from SkyWest Airlines. I believe Greg Atkin is with us, and possibly Daniel Belmont from SkyWest is with us as well. So Todd, if I could let you take it from here and then introduce anybody that would like to speak on SkyWest's behalf.
Absolutely. Thanks, Heath. So just a few points that we came up with along the way of discussing these three different airlines. The main factors that we found between SkyWest versus Denver Air Connection and Boutique are no United code share with Denver Air or Boutique, and only on connecting flights and not on the local markets. There's no through fares from ATY from Watertown to all United network locations. If we chose a different airline than SkyWest, or if the DOT chose different than SkyWest, the elimination of the United GSA fares, which allow for federal government and military travel directly to Watertown. There would be no United frequent flyer miles on local flight segments, no United upfront corporate discount programs. And in July of 2020, we just recently put into place negotiated South Dakota state employee discount up to 14%. That would go away if we chose one of the other two carriers. No United Perks Plus, small medium enterprise program popular with the local businesses. As you all recall, United came to town a year ago, put on a supper, and we signed a lot of businesses up on their status match programs. Also, one of the key factors going through the pandemic now is we lose the United branded COVID-19 procedures, the cleaning and check-in boarding processes. Also, there would be no parking at United gates in Denver or Chicago. So with those bullet points, do we have Daniel Belmont or Greg Atkin on the line?
Todd, you have Dan on the line. Greg and I are doing a little leapfrogging on some meetings today, so he is likely to get on any minute here. But for now, I am here representing SkyWest.
Okay. Daniel, I guess I'll turn it over to you if you have anything to add for the city council to hear from you.
Awesome. Thank you, Todd. Todd's given a great summary of maybe you'd say what's at stake here as far as air service options. It's become a fairly competitive system, if you will, with the bidding process, and maybe just to put a fine point on it, you have some airlines that are behaving a little differently than they might normally do, and it's definitely put a wrinkle into some of the traditional planning and discussion type of items. But that being said, I think with many of the things that Todd has outlined, it's become pretty clear to us that there's a lot of cases you can make for the feasibility of an airline's bid from lots of different perspectives, and the list could go on. But we appreciate that your community is taking time to sort through a lot of the details and understanding kind of the true impact that's kind of on the line here for air service. Times are certainly interesting, and they're different, and they're unprecedented. It's kind of a pick your word, and it's probably going to apply to 2020. But I think what's important is that the community is able to position themselves, as we come away from our current circumstances and get back to normal, which everyone is just hoping for, and we hope for as well. And we're optimistic that the time will come, hopefully sooner rather than later. But this is an environment that's not going to last forever. And so as we, work with our essential air service communities, we want to continue to work together with you and provide feasible options, for our airline at this time. And it's created bids perhaps that are a little different than what we normally would have done had things kept moving along normally in the industry. So a little bit of a ramble there, but does that help you guys at all, or do you have any specific questions for us?
Todd, I don't know if you could touch on the pricing differences here and how some of them are a little bit starkly different in comparison, but why we're still proposing SkyWest in relation to even though the pricing was higher?
Absolutely, Heath. Thank you. So yes, Boutique Airlines put in a bid without subsidy, something that we've never seen before. In the industry, this is called at-risk flying. And to be matter of fact, they don't need to put in a bid to do this. Since we take federal funding, they could just start flying in a couple of weeks if we had spots for them in the terminal. So there is a few key factors that go with at-risk flying and airports that take federal funding. But this bid does not meet the criteria of the DOT. So we opted out of that one. The Key Lime Air DBA Denver Air Connection with a 30-seat Dornier to Denver and Minneapolis for $2.8 and $2.6 million respectively. This would be an option where we would get tagged back with Pier. And so we'd be splitting the seats again. And as we all recall, there was a reason we went away from that. They actually have 3 50-seat jets that they fly under a Part 121 certificate, and they have a bunch of 30-seat Dorniers they fly under a Part 135 certificate. And that's a big key, because if indeed they bring in the Dornier, they don't fall under the Part 121 criteria, which essentially lessens the standards compared to Part 121 that SkyWest United flies under. They have a very specific safety program under Part 121, actually a self-reporting program, an SMS, and maybe Daniel Beaumont can speak more to that on what they do or what they have to do internally. But there are some very distinct factors that are different between Part 135 with a 30-seat Dornier jet and a 121 50-seat jet that SkyWest offers. The price difference is $4.3 million. So essentially it's about double from SkyWest to Denver Air Connection. As we all recall, I did some homework and we found out that Pier last bid cycle, Denver Air Connection put in a bid for $1.8 million versus SkyWest's $3.6 million. And the DOT awarded the bid to SkyWest. And we found multiple other cities that this has been a factor in. So end result is the price does not matter to the DOT as much as reliable service. So that's where we came up with the price difference that we can get the DOT to come along board for SkyWest's higher dollar amount. And as you see, the U.S. Department of Transportation is required by law to use the following 6 criteria in assessing essential air service. So we went through all 6 of these criteria, and that's where SkyWest meets all 6 of these criteria if the city were to send a letter in to recommend SkyWest to the DOT. The other carriers do not meet all 6 for various reasons that I had mentioned earlier. Is there any questions for me on that? I know it's a lot of information, and I do apologize for the short time here that we have to discuss all this. I could go on for hours, but is there any questions?
Any questions, Councilman? Councilman Vilhar?
Just a few questions, Todd, or whoever wants to take it. I think you've already answered a couple of them. This does not tie us into any kind of commitment with Pier, correct?
Correct.
That
This
is
does
correct.
not tie us into anything with Pier if we choose SkyWest. We would have our own routes with a 50-seat jet the same routes we're flying currently, which would be one to Denver, one to Chicago daily,
Okay.
12 weekly round trips.
Okay,
So on Tuesdays and Saturdays, we would only fly one flight to Denver.
okay. Thank you for that. You've already answered. I was gonna ask about the price, but you've already addressed that as to why, even though, SkyWest bid price is higher than others, you've addressed that, so scratch that off my list. This contract kicks in sometime in 2021, correct, for 3 years?
Correct. So the start time will be May 1.
Okay. Why did that come up? I mean, it was only just last year that we approved this. Why is it coming up already? Wasn't that a 3-year contract a year ago?
So it was not. It was a 2-year cycle, and SkyWest was gracious enough to bid a 3-year cycle this turn.
Oh, okay.
But as you recall, we lost the prior airline mid-contract. So this is actually our contract date. So we would have to just disregard when SkyWest started due to the fact that our DOT date is set for May 1.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. And then there's no gap in there from the end of one contract to the beginning of the next contract. If we go with SkyWest, I'm assuming there's no issue there.
Correct.
Okay. Also, the airport board approved this or recommended this, and I see our consultant, ArcStar, also recommended SkyWest. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, that is. It was a unanimous decision on both parts, yes.
Okay. I know the question's gonna come up from the public. Any comments about possible Minneapolis-St. Paul service in the future? I know it's not part of this package, but I know that question's out there in the public's mind.
So, yes, that has been a topic of conversation in the recent months here. Daniel, do you want to speak to that a little bit, or?
Yeah, I can do that, Todd. So yeah, we have spoken briefly about the option for Minneapolis service, and it's definitely something that SkyWest would like to consider with the community, and certainly has the option to, maybe not right away here while we're still sorting out the pandemic, but sometime hopefully not too far down the road, as everyone gets squared away with everything, it's an option that we'd like to explore with you guys, and are certainly open to do so. I'm not sure if that's something that other carriers would be willing to do with you. Certainly not with the Delta code. So it's in some ways a very unique opportunity that we would bring to the table versus some of your other options.
Okay, thank you.
I'll piggyback off of that just to explain a little bit more in depth. What Daniel's speaking to is what's called a minimum revenue guarantee, and essentially it will not hurt the Essential Air Service contract. They will fly less than 12 weekly round trips, whatever the community decides on. And this is something that'll go on, ongoing conversations, obviously, more in depth later. But it's a minimum revenue guarantee. The community, not just the city, but the community would put together for Delta service to Minneapolis. So you'd have the full branded Delta service to Minneapolis X amount of times a week. No more than 11 is what we can offer, or they can offer. So hopefully that explains that a little better.
And just to be clear on that, it would be a completely separate issue to take up at a later date, completely outside of this agreement, correct, Todd?
That is correct. Yes, it will not hinder or affect Essential Air Service. We would still have Chicago and Denver under the Essential Air Service contract.
All right, any other questions?
And the
or
last
comments?
point I would make, Mayor, if I could, upon council's approval, if they were to approve this tonight, make recommendation to the federal DOT, what Todd would do is also look to secure letters of support for SkyWest Airlines to serve Watertown from other elected dignitaries as well, including senators and our governor. And so Todd, I don't know if, I don't think he started that ball yet, but would after an approval tonight if it's so approved.
Okay. Very good. Anyone else? All right, I'll look for action. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and those opposed signify by saying nay. Roll call vote, please, Kristen.
Billhauer,
Aye.
Roby,
Aye.
Manti,
Aye.
Helene,
Aye.
Hoyer.
Aye.
Bueller,
Aye.
Albertson,
Aye.
motion carries.
Thank you. Item C is authorization for the mayor to submit the FAA Airport Grant pre-application identifying a total estimated funding amount of $9,432,000 for Phase 2 of the airport terminal project.
Moved by Holene.
Got a motion by Holene,
Second by Hoyer.
a second by Hoyer. And Heath, will you tell us about this, please?
Yes, absolutely, Mayor. Thank you. So this is, again, we're usually at the whim of the FAA's instruction on when to proceed with certain components, and that's exactly what's happened here, is where they've contacted Todd Sider again, the airport manager, and let him know that now is the time for us to submit our, what they call the pre-application for the Phase 2 of our terminal building grant. And so this is just a formality to run this through the governing body to approve this pre-application and the mayor's authority to sign it and have it submitted to the FAA. Now, if the council remember, our terminal project is more or less split into two phases. The first phase that we've recently bid and been awarded the grant monies for is the actual terminal building itself, and then a little bit of air carrier ramp, apron, concrete work out in front of that terminal. Now, Phase 2 will include a lot more of the broader footprint of the new airport terminal site and include the parking lot and some of the taxiway and things like that that go along with the airport and are obviously requirements and necessities as part of the project as a whole. So with Phase 2 looking to be bid out here later this winter into spring sometime, once those designs are complete and the FAA gives us direction to move forward with that step, we'll do so. But again, this is kind of step one of that Phase 2 process, and we're looking to get this submitted to the FAA soon upon and contingent upon council's approval. Todd or I'd be glad to help answer any questions.
Very good, thank you. Questions, council? Pretty self-explanatory. Councilman Billhauer?
Heath or Todd, we have no reason to believe that this will not be approved or accepted, correct?
Yeah, Todd, could you speak to that?
Sure. Thanks, Heath. As far as the acceptance, so what this will do is this will put together moving power for the FAA to go find money. They have been diligently working on finding funding for the second round since we've probably since 2 years ago, since we've started this process. So there is no reason to believe that this would not get accepted. No, the FAA has full support for this program.
Okay, I mean, obviously, worst case scenario is we got half a project funded, and all of a sudden the funding for the second half does not come through. Where does that leave us? I guess just wanted some assurance that we aren't going to be left high and dry, and I realize you can't guarantee that, but it sounds pretty promising then.
Yeah, and that's exactly
Absolutely.
how our conversations with the FAA end up going, is it doesn't make any sense to anybody to build half of a terminal project. And so I think that the Phase 2, in my assumptions, would mean that we're all the more on steady ground for Phase 2 than we were even for Phase 1, just because the necessity to plug it in and complete the project.
And I got a question for Heath, or maybe it's more of a Kristen question. I mean, does this grant amount change anything as far as what we were looking at as far as overall city funding for this project?
From an engineering standpoint, these numbers are right along what we were anticipating. And Chris, I don't know if you want to chime in any further with that.
No, I think they're still in line with what we were planning. We'll continue to watch as the next phase of the bidding process takes place. But yep, I think it's right in line with what we were expecting.
Sounds good, thank you.
Very good. Anyone else?
Mayor? If I
Yes,
could, please.
sure.
So we actually, the FAA directed us to add in, since we had such a cost savings with the first phase, with bids coming in so cheap, the FAA recommended that we add in our SRE, our snow removal equipment, maintenance shop into this grant. But it does not change the overall value of the grant number, due to the cost savings. So we essentially will get our 2023 project done, just with the cost savings we had in this year's grant.
That's good because we're going to need it. We're tearing down the equipment building to build the terminal, right?
That is correct, yeah.
Yeah, so we're currently looking for a home for that stuff. That's very good timing. Anyone else? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye, and those opposed signify by saying nay. Roll call vote, please.
Billhauer,
Aye.
Roby,
Aye.
Manti,
Aye.
Colleen,
Aye.
Hoyer,
Aye.
Bueller,
Aye.
Albertson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item D is authorization to allocate funding for the Boys and Girls Club roof replacement project and gym divider replacement, supplementing the 2020 budget in the amount of $220,000.
So moved.
We have a motion by Vilhauer,
Second by Manti.
second by Manti, and I'll ask Keith to explain this, please.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor. The engineering division was approached to assist with some work here on, with some potential work on the Boys and Girls Club. Justin Peterson, the assistant city engineer, has been in contact with the Boys and Girls Club, and I know the mayor's been in on some discussions as well regarding some requests. So we got as far as we could until we realized that, in talking to Kristen, we needed to make sure we had the proper funding allocated to proceed with any work. So that's essentially what this action will do tonight if the Public Works Committee were to so recommend. And sharing my screen here, there's pretty much broken down into two needs. The first need being a new roof on the Boys and Girls Club facility, which of course is a city-owned structure at this point in time. And I can't necessarily speak to any prior agreements as far as our responsibilities here, but I believe that the maintenance of the roof falls under the city's responsibilities. The estimated cost for that work alone is roughly $205,000. That includes the roof itself and then some architectural and engineering costs to complete some plans and do some bidding work for the city. So at that cost of $205,000 would complete the roof. The second item here is related to a partition in the gym, one of the dividers, and that cost to replace that piece of equipment is about a little under $14,000, and the two combined then would require a budget supplement of $220,000 total. Justin Peterson's online with us tonight. I know we have representatives from the Boys and Girls Club here in the council chambers with us as well, and we'd be glad to help answer any questions.
All right, and for the record, Jason Rudemski has arrived and is joining the meeting in person. Council, do you have any questions about the Boys and Girls Club item? Councilman Vilhauer?
Only question I've got is, on the gym dividers, what makes that possibly qualify for CARES Act funding? Did somebody,
Yeah, we'll let the Boys and Girls
Okay,
Club
thank you.
representatives, please state your name for the record.
Lewis Canfield, Director of Operations with the Boys and Girls Club. This is just a suggestion or proposal. What we're doing currently right now in the Boys and Girls Club is we're serving youngest kids who need us most. We're limited in our service capacity because we're serving kids in pods and in groups. So right now we're limited to 25 to 30 kids in a group. This would allow us to serve two groups in the gym versus just the one.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll look for action. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed signify by saying nay. Roll call. vote.
Billhauer,
aye.
Roby,
Aye.
Manti,
Aye.
Colleen,
Aye.
Hoyer,
Aye.
Bueller,
Aye.
Albertson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, and thanks for coming.
Yes, thanks, Mayor Karen. I see this is on the agenda at 5:30 as well for the big meeting. Is there need for us to stick around
No,
for
it's on
that if there's
consent,
any?
isn't it?
Yeah, this will just be
Questions or-
rolled into the consent agenda
Okay,
for
so,
council.
okay,
Yeah.
sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you
everybody.
both for coming.
All right, we are at old business. Do we have any old business? Not seeing any. Is there any new business? Also not seeing any. So the next item would be executive session pursuant to SDCL 1-25-2, and we do have a need to go into executive session item to discuss and consult with legal counsel on contractual matters. And we do not expect to take action on coming out tonight. So I'll need a motion to go into
So,
executive session. Sorry about that. So we have a motion by Vilhauer,
Second, Bueller.
a second by Bueller. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye, and those opposed signify by saying nay. Roll call vote, please, Kristen.
Bill Howard,
aye.
Roby,
Aye.
Manti,
Aye.
Colleen,
Aye.
Hoyer,
Aye.
Bueller,
Aye.
Albertson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Did you get Rademski? Was-
Oh, I'm sorry. Rademski.
Aye.
Yeah, you can't see him,
Motion
but he's
carries.
here. Thank you. Okay, we are in executive session, so everyone needs to log out of this meeting and log into the executive session meeting.